I was working then doing some colleges, but also doing cruise ships. But a cruise ship is not what everybody thinks anyway. I've done over 100 cruises in my life, which I think about that and I think, 100 weeks. I've spent like over 2 years of my life on a ship, which seems very strange to me, especially when you think about what they're really like, because everybody thinks they're like the Love Boat on TV, but it's not like that at all. For one thing, these people like lose their brains. When they go, it's like they go on vacation, their brains are gone. I've been asked some of the stupidest questions of my life on a ship. I've had people ask me, does the ship have its own electrical supply? No, we drag an extension cord from Miami. These people think. I had a lady ask me one time, she said, is the water in the toilet salt water or fresh? I don't know, I haven't tasted it. I'm not sure. Was standing out on the back deck one day looking at the pool, and of course as the ship sways back and forth, the water in the pool goes back and forth, and this guy is standing there and he says, you're the comedian, aren't you? And I said, yes sir, I am. He said, enjoyed your show. I said, well, thank you very much. He said, you been on the ship long? I said, a few weeks. He says, that salt water or fresh water in the pool? I said, well, it's salt water. They pump it in from the ocean. He said, oh, that's why it's so rough. I'm telling you, these people lose their brains. It is true. It's unbelievable. I had a guy ask me one day, he said, so where do you go from here? I said, well, I'm going to Denver for 2 days, then I'm going to Chicago for a week, and then I end up in Dallas. He said, on another ship? Walking through the purser's lobby late one night, this little old lady comes through and she says, I'm lost. I said, well, let me help you. Can I help you find? She said, I can't find my cabin anywhere. I said, well, tell me what your cabin number is. Maybe I can help you. And she told me. I said, yes, ma'am. I'm going right by there. Come on, you can. And you got to understand, now, this is an older lady. All right? Because those of you who have been on cruise ships know this is an older lady. I mean, cruise ships aren't people think it's the Love Boat, but I'm telling you, this is like, it's newlyweds or nearly dead. It's one or the other. Right? And it's mostly old people. And I'm not going to offend anybody here tonight because there's nobody in here that's over 150 years of age. When I'm talking old people, you don't put a glass of water anywhere. They'll put their teeth in it every time. And this lady, sweet little lady, and she grabs my arm and we're walking down, through the hall. And I said, come on, I'm going right by there. I'll show you your room. She says, you know your way around this ship pretty good. I said, yes, ma'am, I do. She said, you've been on this ship before. And I said, yes, ma'am, I have. She says, you've been on this ship many times? I said, yes, ma'am, actually on this ship about 25, 26 times. She said, what do you do for a living? You can afford so many cruises. So I'm thinking, she doesn't know who I am. So I figured I'm going to have a little fun with her. I said, well, I'm a gigolo. And before I could tell her I was kidding, this lady comes around the corner who had obviously seen my show the night before. She said, kid, last night you were fantastic. A lot of explaining to do there. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day that was telling me they're about to go on a cruise, and I said, where are you going? He said, we're going to Alaska, going on an Alaskan cruise. I said, I've done 2 Alaskan cruises, only 2 weeks. And it's beautiful, but you got to understand, we tease about there being old people on ships. On Alaskan cruises, it ain't no joke. I was on an Alaskan cruise, and in 1 week, we had 11 people die. In 1 week. You put 1,600 people on there, it's average age 75 or 80, and it's just going to be somebody's time, But 11 of them, 11 in 1 week, and 2 of them in my show. It was horrible. I get through with my show one night, and everybody gets up and leaves, except for 2 of them. It was all, of course, the big joke all week is, you got to see Andy's show. He's killing them. one good thing about the cruises, for me, is that they provided plenty of downtime, provided a lot of boredom for me, and so I had to do something. And so what I started doing on the cruises, that's when I started writing. I started putting my thoughts down on paper, and I started writing about my childhood because it certainly wasn't normal, and I thought, well, maybe somebody will want to read this. And actually what these childhood stories became, they became a book called Tales from Sawyerton Springs. And these stories were actually begun as part of my therapy on cruise ships, just to kind of prevent boredom. And so what I want to do tonight is read you a story from this book. And this is a story which was actually the first one I ever wrote. It's called Baseball, Boys, and Bad Words.